Hi, welcome to the podcast. I am joined by special guest Zach from Digital Extremes.
Hello, hello.
And for those of the listeners that don't know, what do you do at Digital Extremes?
Yeah, I'm a senior program coordinator here on the Warframe team, and I manage the creator program now, which is awesome. So I deal a lot with the lovely people like Vamp here, and deal with the creators and everything around that, and I love it. It's fantastic.
Okay, and today we have a special question podcast.
Ooh.
Today, yep, I actually prepared. Usually, when I'm by myself, I talk about stuff in a certain order, which, if I'm being honest, makes it easier for me to edit later on. But we're going to
Yeah,
be jumping all over the place today. So,
fun.
yeah, future me is probably going to hate me for this, but let's get into it. First of all,
Yeah.
Warframe, let's
hmm
talk about Call. Call is one of the characters, for those of you guys that don't know, he's a Grenadier character. He was introduced in the new war, so if you haven't got there yet, don't worry, you will in the future. But what you guys may not know is for a while anyway, Carl was seemingly Zach's favorite NPC.
He still is. I love Call.
Okay, because before he even got announced officially, I believe your profile picture was of Carl.
Really? Like before
Before
it's
he was
officially announced?
announced as his own thing, when he was character in the new war, before he was announced
Right,
in
right. I see.
Veilbreaker.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
you will call like day one or
Yep.
whatnot. And
Biggest Call
I
fan.
I have a theory, my secret theory as to why you love Call so much is because you guys both have this whole silent H thing going in the spelling of your name. Yeah,
Oh my God, I never realized. You're right.
yes,
That's hilarious.
that is my going theory. And yeah.
I do love Call. We're brothers in H's or silent H's.
Now, I've had other people on the podcast before. And it lasted quite a while. Usually, my podcast lasts around 30 minutes, 20, 30 minutes when I'm
hmm
talking by myself. But when I have guests, they tend to last a bit longer.
Yeah,
When,
time
like
flies.
Taylor, the podcast I did with Taylor, it lasted an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But Megan's lasted even longer.
Oh yeah.
Megan's lasted closer to 2 hours. And trust me, there's going to be a point why I am bringing this up. Okay, it's a very long and complicated segue, but I'm going to make it happen. And the reason ours lasted so long, because with Megan, we talked quite a bit about Zelda.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and particularly, we talked about Legend of Zelda, and well, Tears of the Kingdom wasn't out yet. It was
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild, but I know that you had been playing Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes, I have. Yes. And I'm happy to talk about it for the whole time because it's amazing and I loved it so much. Even me and Megan at work get caught in Zelda conversations quite often, and that make our meetings go longer than they should because we're just talking about Tears of the Kingdom. It's so good. Do you play or have you played it?
I have not played it yet. I've watched a little bit online, but I plan on getting it myself eventually.
Nice,
Right now,
nice.
I'm saving up for something else at the moment, so I've kind
Ooh,
of restricted myself from how much I could spend on
Yeah, fair,
stuff.
fair.
So yeah, but what I've seen is okay, so the little, I don't know what they're called, creature that you have to get them to their friends.
What's that? The
Um,
creatures?
the little creatures, you gotta take them to their friends across the area.
Oh, the Koroks, yeah.
Yeah, the quarks.
Yeah.
Okay, they are immortal from what I've seen.
Yes, they are. They have
Yeah,
weird immortality powers. They can survive explosions and
yeah.
crashes. That's funny.
And the challenges in the temples,
Hmm.
apparently, I've seen that not only can you get weird chest results, like some of them are good chests, some of them are just okay,
Hmm.
but apparently you can just shoot a bomb arrow in the bullseye and auto complete it.
Yeah. I learned that pretty quickly into my playthrough and it changed my life because you can just skip so many puzzles just by doing it, which is great. But they had to have thought of it. That's like my theory is they just gave you like multiple ways to complete it. They're like, yeah, if you want to shoot a bomb at the target, go ahead. Skip this whole puzzle.
Well, the video slash stream I watched when they did that part, it's like they felt like they wasted so much time afterwards.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah. But let's shift a little bit from Zelda because, as you know, Zelda is a pretty new game, which
Hmm.
brings me to some other new games that Digital Extremes has been cooking up between last year and this year. Soulframe comes to mind,
Hmm.
which we haven't seen too much on Soulframe, but Soulframe is one of those kind of best kept secrets and worst kept secrets at the same time, since the trademark did actually leak that there was a trademark before
Oh
Soulframe
yeah.
was announced. Yeah.
Oh man, I
So,
totally forgot about that. Yeah,
yeah.
geez, it leaked months, like months before we revealed it.
Yeah.
TennoCon. Wow, I
So,
forgot about that.
yeah. It was one of the things. And of course, me being me, I went ahead and created a whole YouTube channel around this leaked. We didn't even know what kind of game it was at the time.
Yeah, it just was in just the name.
Yeah, I was secretly hoping it was a card game. I had this whole scenario in my mind where, in like future expansions of Warframe, one of the
Hmm.
card games that the Tenno would be playing would be Soulframe, and then it would be like, Soulframe. Yeah. So, yeah.
I would love a card game in the Warframe universe or the Soulframe universe. It just like I love little mini games within games. Like Comey is always fun to me. Gwent and like The Witcher is always fun as well. So I just wonder what we would do. It'd be a lot of work. We have like Frame Fighter and all those other little games, but they're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
as fleshed out as some other ones.
Yeah, true, true. Except for Warmius. Warmius, it's surprisingly pretty fleshed
Yeah,
out.
that's a good one.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of Frame Fighter, though, which will be an odd segue into Mortal Kombat 1.
Yes.
Yeah, they announced Mortal Kombat 1.
Do you
My
play Mortal Kombat?
Actually, yes, I do.
Nice.
I was gonna make videos on it. I have Mortal Kombat, I believe it's 11. Is it 11? The latest one. I think that
Right,
was
yeah,
11.
11.
Yeah, I have that, and it's actually cross play, which I didn't know. I got to
Oh,
play it
nice.
with my nephew like a month ago.
Oh, nice.
He made me play multiple games because I beat him with a character that I didn't know how to play, and he was using his favorite character. So he
Classic.
made me rematch him, of course. So yeah,
That's funny.
but
I don't play too much Mortal Kombat. Really, the only fighting game I play is Smash Bros. But that's
uh,
kind of different than a traditional
oh,
fighting
okay,
game. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's more of a group co-op type.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I get to play some Super Smash Brothers, but not that much. But Super Smash Brothers, that reminds me, technically, Lotus makes an appearance
Yes.
in
Yep.
Super Smash Brothers at
Which is
some point.
so cool. It's so awesome. I remember getting I think they're called spirits, getting the
Yeah,
Lotus
yeah.
spirit for the first time. And I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. It's like universes collided.
Yeah, it's crazy. Honestly, I was happy when I saw that. I'm not a big Super Smash Bros. Player myself, but I was excited to see that because when Warframe first announced that it was coming to the Switch, my immediate thing was, oh, wouldn't it be cool to have some kind of Nintendo partnership of some
Yeah.
kind with Warframe? And it kind of happened with Super Smash Brothers. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That was awesome. Next step is just getting a a Warframe into Smash.
One day,
One
one
day.
day.
We'll see.
And then, speaking of games, still, I feel like that's a lazy segue since we're just talking about games. Speaking of games, let's talk about another game. But hey, it's my podcast. I can be lazy if I want.
Make the rules.
The next game we're going to talk about is a game that I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but Digital Extremes is a publisher on this time,
Hmm.
which is Wayfinder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been able to play any of like the closed betas or of Wayfinder?
Yes.
Nice,
And
nice.
for obvious reasons, I can't go into too much
Yeah.
detail, but
Yeah.
it is a fun game. It
Yeah,
is
that's
a
awesome
fun
to hear.
game. Yeah.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. It's different from the games I'd usually play, but I love that, and I love that we're expanding into different genres or different gameplay styles, so to speak. But yeah, Wayfinder's ramping up, and it's cool to see it get the attention it deserves.
Now, Wayfinder, a lot of people, initially might wonder why Wayfinder looks so different in art style and
Hmm.
acts different than Soulframe and Wolframe. And that is simply, first and foremost, because of the fact that Warframe actually runs on its own engine.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whereas Wayfinder, I believe he is at the Unreal Engine, if I'm
I
not
don't know for
mistaken.
sure, but it's definitely a different one. And
Yeah.
Airship Syndicate, who develops it, I think is like mostly in charge of like, art style and world building and design. So
Oh,
they're
yeah,
very
yeah.
different looking universes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not to mention before, Digital Extremes is the publisher. For those of you guys listening that don't know publishers, well, they basically publish the game.
Hmm.
That's what it says on the tin type thing. And then developers are sometimes a different company. Sometimes publishers will have more, hands-on with the developers and certain titles, others not. Warframe is published and developed by Digital Extreme.
Hmm.
Soulframe presumably is going to be also fully published and developed by Digital Extremes. I mean,
Yes, yes.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Which actually, speaking of Soulframe, I've made a couple videos on this, but I theorize that um the divide paradox on Warframe is actually somewhat testing the waters for Soulframe because
I know I've seen that a
yeah,
lot. Yeah,
yeah.
it's an interesting one, but I think Duviri was kind of just like a different experience for Warframe and testing combat, and what does it mean when you take away your space ninja suit and you don't have that power? Like how would someone fight? And we settled on melee combat. But yeah, I've seen those theories online, so we'll have to see, because I mean, like, Soulframe's a very melee combat focused game, and obviously, like, we're under the same company, but I don't think there was much collaboration in that regard.
Well, I mean, it would definitely benefit it, but yeah, I don't know if it was a premeditated thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it would benefit in a way that, since they're both on the same engine, if one expands, the other one expands, which is actually very good because that means the games can kind of help evolve each other once they're both out.
Yeah, I think even in
Yeah.
like recent updates that we've mentioned, like certain like lighting tech or cloth tech that's being worked on, for Soulframe has been applied to Warframe, and that's really cool to see that we can benefit, as you said, um, and then both ways, because Warframe's old, it's 10 years old, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
the tech is also 10 years old. So any engine changes that are made company wide, it's nice to see them get implemented, because Warframe still looks great, especially with the new like enhanced stuff. So it's great.
Yes, it does look still great. And as we mentioned before, Wolfram does use its own engine, which,
Hmm.
for those of you guys that don't know, is the Evolution engine. Fun
Yes, yes.
fact. Which is why I'm always a bit more forgiving when such an, like when the Divide Paradox came out, there were a lot of bugs, but I'm always forgiving about that type of stuff. One,
Hmm.
because you guys are always very good at patching the bugs pretty quickly, in
Yeah.
my opinion. And two, because of the fact that, as I keep mentioning, Warframe is on its own engine, so it doesn't necessarily have all that stuff from the get go. Like, it had to develop its own gravity
Hmm. Yeah.
and everything, physics, all that stuff, opposed to something like Unreal or Unity, which has those type of things baked in from the get go for most
Yeah, and
games.
it's interesting you bring that up, because I think if we started making Warframe, in the last 3 years instead of 10 years ago, or it would have been 12 years ago when they started really developing it, um, it probably would be so different, because the tools are so much better these days. Like Unreal Engine 5, even like I'm interested in looking at it because it's just so user friendly, and there's so many ways that you can make those cool, good looking worlds with physics engine that work. You don't have to code it yourself or anything. So it would be interesting to see like what Warframe would look like if it was developed today. Would it be like developed quicker and easier to build upon? But because we didn't have those tools at the time, yeah, we got to work within what we got. And so it's kind of a miracle when we can push out something like Duviri. I think just tech wise, it was bewildering. I assumed that we wouldn't be able to go as big as we did, but we did, and it feels cool because it shows that the engine it held up. It didn't
Well,
die.
well, you guys always seem to push the limits of that poor engine. It all started with Cetus, the Plains
Yes.
of Eidolon.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys pushed the limits in a big way. Not only did you guys introduce an open world, you guys also introduced an enemy with multiple target mechanics like the
Right.
Eidolons.
Yeah.
And if that wasn't enough, you guys also decided to implement weapon crafting for the first time.
That's right. Wow. It's been so long. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yes.
Um, Thinking about that back then is just crazy. Obviously, I wasn't working for D at the time, but I remember as a player having my mind blown because I just assumed Warframe wasn't going to be anything different than just, raiding ships and running through hallways and getting an open world for free was like, whoa, this is
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
And now that I know that working here, thinking back how they did it with like, half the team size we have now on different tech, you're like, whoa, that's just crazy.
And then your guide would push it even further with a questionable update, but
Yeah.
it did push the limits still, which was Railjack.
Hmm.
Railjack, it's kind of had its own divisive thing going on in the community as a whole, but it still is very innovative, as Apple would say, for the engine. So get that. Oh, speaking of Apple,
Yeah.
what do you think of the Vision Pro?
Man, I think it's really cool. I kind of was hearing all the rumors about Apple's headset that they were gonna announce, and I like VR. Like I have a Quest 1, and I enjoy it, but I've always kind of been hesitant to imagine it getting integrated into like people's lives or like workflow. I always thought it would just be too messy, but the stuff they showcased was
Yeah,
pretty nuts. And I think it'll have a place for some people to use it. Like I'm sure there's companies or just certain creatives that would really benefit from it, but like at $3,500 US,
yeah,
it's so hard to
yeah.
justify.
Well,
But it's not, I don't think it's really made for consumers just yet. Like people can buy it, but I think we still need a few more years of iterations before, people like
yeah.
us can benefit from it.
Actually, that price point is pretty interesting that they
Hmm.
picked that price point because this is, I mean, yeah, sure, you can get an iPhone now for about 1,000.
Hmm.
Samsung had the Z Flip for around a little over 1,000, but those aren't the first gen of a project.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It'll see some big iterations, and I mean,
yeah,
hopefully, if I could, you know, make any guesses, they'll probably get it down to that like $1,500 price point, and it will probably be smaller. Like it'll be like glasses size, and that's pretty crazy to think about.
yeah.
Um,
I
and a
imagine.
little dystopian, but
Yeah, yeah. I imagine it will end up being like consoles, in
true.
the sense that, the PlayStations and Xbox and even the Nintendo Switch, all those companies that make them, they actually lose money on those,
Right.
and they make it up in sales like, Game Pass, PlayStation Plus,
Yeah.
Nintendo Switch Online, the games they sell. That's how they make it up. So,
Yeah, I've
uh,
heard people chatting about if Apple should have done the same with this one, like with the first iteration of the Vision Pro, lose a bit of money to get people on board and like believing in it. But who knows? It was announced at the developer conference, so it's clearly aimed towards professionals and
yeah,
creatives and stuff. So
yeah,
I know people were kind of freaking out about the price, but you're like, well, then don't buy it. If you don't get value out of it,
yeah,
then it's hard to justify. But
yeah.
it's cool. If I won the lottery, I'd buy one just to have it. But
The YouTuber inside me automatically, the first thought that went to my head is, you know what? This would be cool to edit on.
it would be really
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. You'd have so much screen or, fake screen,
yeah,
virtual screen. It'd be
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
yep. The future. Oh, yeah, I do actually have a note here. Speaking of the future, let's talk
Yeah.
about the future of Warframe.
Yeah.
The future of the divide paradox, in
Hmm.
fact. So, the divide paradox, whenever people ask me to sum up the divide paradox, I make sure that they know that I'm saying this in the best possible way,
Yeah.
but, I round up the Divide Paradox as being like a sandbox type thing, sort of a testing ground, if you will. So things
Yeah,
that
sure.
don't necessarily make sense in the main game or things that push the limits, as it were, can be
Hmm.
tested in the Divide Paradox, aka Stalker. Stalker technically doesn't make sense yet in the main game till he gets
Right.
that redemption arc that
Right.
he may
Yeah.
or may not get in the future. So let's see what happens there. I was going to jokingly ask you, when's that redemption arc? But you couldn't tell me if I was right on the money.
Yeah,
Although
you nailed it.
I'd like to think that secretly you were like, Vamp, now I can't say anything because I pitch like billions of ideas. Some of them have to be right.
Yeah,
Some of them
if you
have
pitch
to
100
be,
ideas, there's got to
yeah,
be one in there.
yeah.
I love when you guys guest stuff because obviously now we're getting closer to TennoCon and I believe in previous years there's been some right guesses. Like I think I couldn't think of any names. I'm pretty sure you even had one, but other people just throwing ideas out there and we can't say anything because they nailed it. I even remember before the new war came out, there was a Reddit post or a Reddit comment that like nailed the story almost to like a T, and we genuinely thought like it leaked. We had to like look around and see how they got this information because they just nailed it. It was perfect. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's scary. But I'm pretty sure after the update came out, they must have been like, hey, hold on, I guessed it perfectly. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, actually, you know what that reminds me of? You guys did a Reddit AMA not too
yes,
long ago. Now,
yes,
I
we did.
unfortunately did not get to catch that one, but I did hear a lot of people say that you guys basically said something like having the next basic 5 years of content roadmap type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is cool to see. We're gonna get into territory where I can say almost nothing.
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah.
just like looking past sort of the story and what's next, like I would say personally speaking, the new war in kind of Duviri is tying the knot on like the stories that have been told over the past 10 years, and we can see where it's moving forward, but it's crazy. It's really good stuff. Man, I
Oh,
can't say anything else. But
oh, okay.
yeah,
So, see,
yeah.
that leads me to believe that that means the Drifter Operator arc might be coming to an end soon.
Yeah, again, I can't say much, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's I would say, in my mind or like my own interpretation of the lore, like I always thought New War was like a nice story ending for the Lotus. Like Lotus is still around, but
Oh, yeah,
it
yeah,
completed a
yeah.
lot of, open-ended stuff, and I liked carrying, Lotus back to the chair and in the New War and all that. So I think it just makes room for other stories, like where Lotus is there but isn't, the main focus.
Oh, yeah,
So it's
yeah,
going to be interesting. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah, in case you guys are wondering why he said he can't say that much, because as many of you guys know, I have my own NDA for various things. Well, he has an even bigger NDA than I do because he actually works at Digital Extremes.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
things I know and can't talk about are nothing compared to what he knows, but as a result, he had even bigger emphasis on can't talk about it.
See, that's why I like announcement days, because you guys get excited because we announce something, and I'm excited that I can talk about it. I don't have to carry the weight of the secret around anymore.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, actually, I do. See, I have a whole list here that I wrote down, and ESO is actually. See, I put ESO there, and you'd think I'd be talking about Elite Sanctuary Onslaught since
Yeah.
we're talking about Wolfenstein. But no, when I put ESO, I meant Elder Scrolls Online. Yeah.
Oh,
So have you ever played Elder Scrolls Online?
I have not, unfortunately. But do you play?
So I played a little bit on PS5
Nice.
initially,
Nice.
but I don't really know how to play much anymore. But um basically someone reached out to me on Bethesda's behalf. So I'm going to give ESO a chance on PC because I
Oh,
have a
that's
new
cool.
PC coming actually.
Ooh,
So
nice. That's awesome.
yeah.
Have you had a PC before alongside your Mac, or is this
Um
just an upgrade?
this is okay, so I have a PC right now.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think I talked to you about some type of tech support thing. I know it's not technically your job to do tech support, but we do ask you every now and then, me and the other creator do
Yeah.
ask you tech related stuff every
Yeah, yeah.
now and again. Um, it was because my current computer, because my new one hasn't come yet, had a 10 GTX 1060.
Right.
And
So it's getting old.
yeah, I was having quite a bit problem with it with Warframe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, basically, I had to change from native to scaled,
Right,
I
yeah.
believe. Yeah, to get it to work. What was funny is you actually, after talking about this with you, I mean, like a week later, you said, "Oh, I got a new graphic card." I was like, "Wow, we had about the same for a while, but then you went out and got a new graphics card."
I did, yeah, and I loved it. Gosh, it's almost been like a year since that. But yeah, I got such a sweet deal on like a 3060 Ti that I just was like, oh, I gotta do it. So I revamped my whole system, which is like my first ever like new PC. I always got like hand-me-downs or just like clearance stuff that wasn't that good. This was
Actually,
like the first big upgrade that I got. So yeah,
Actually, my new computer coming actually has a 3060 Ti.
nice. Yeah,
Mm.
it's awesome. It's not obviously it's not like the top of the line,
Oh,
but I have
yeah,
very
yeah.
rarely run into issues with the games that I play. So
Now, Reddit actually basically got me into getting the TI instead of the 3060. Not that I discussed anything on Reddit, but I was coming by the Reddit post, and
hmm.
then all the comments kept saying, well, if you're going to get the 3060, it's not too much more to get the 3060 Ti. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was like, you know what? Fine, fine, fine.
It'll be like worth it. I agree with them. A little bit more money, but I definitely a more solid card. So then are you gonna play Warframe on PC then? Start again?
I'm okay. So I'm going to. I have a Wolfram PC account,
Hmm.
so I will be getting on playing around with the setting,
Nice.
hoping that I don't enjoy the setting too much more than PS5. At least not until cross save comes out.
That's true. Yeah, then
Yeah.
you'd be totally fine. But the PS5 doesn't run bad at all. I think it
No, it
runs
doesn't. The
great.
PS5 actually uses a modified RTX 20 series
Right,
GPU
right,
in it.
yeah.
So yeah, what's funny is that the PS5 actually runs Wolfenstein better than my current computer. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that will be a good upgrade because so my dual setup is different than most because it uses a Mac and a PC. So
Right.
essentially, I treat my PC as another console, essentially plugged
Yeah.
up to a capture card.
Mhm.
Yeah, my poor capture card works overtime. So, yeah. Yep, there is that. Favorite frame release. Oh, okay. What is your favorite Warframe release?
Oh man. I think for years I always said Neja, but lately I've been saying Zephyr Prime because I love Zephyr Prime so
Oh,
much.
it's Zephyr Prime. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
that's my go-to for like mostly everything in Warframe. I still love Neja Prime for like Archon hunts, or other content, but Zephyr, man, I love Zephyr.
Ah, okay. See, that's interesting because I don't run into many Zephyrs.
It's true.
Ah,
I
yeah.
what's your favorite Warframe these days?
Okay, so my favorite Warframe and my um main Warframe are two different Warframes.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite Warframe is Valka. My
Nice.
whole YouTube channel actually is based around the
That's
idea of
true.
Valka.
Yeah.
My glyph is kind of an interpretation of Valka, in fact. And that would be, for my main, I use Anaros a lot. Like, a
Nice.
lot.
Nice.
But mostly, believe it or not, I use Anaris a lot. I got in a habit of using him because he's easier to use while streaming and talking to chat. But it started as a habit for that reason. But now I just use him regularly. Yeah,
Nice.
he's just
Yeah,
a
I should use
go-to.
interest
Yeah.
more. I don't that often, but I should because
With
they're fun.
his one, I I really forget what it's called all of the time because I just call it pocket sand.
Pocket sand.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't even know what his fun is, but now I'm just gonna go with pocket sand. That's the new lore.
Yep. Now,
It's funny.
surprisingly, he's not as tanky in the Divari Paradox in a Still Path as
Mm-hmm.
you'd think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that title currently goes to Revenant.
Yeah, Revenant is like
Yeah.
always good. I love when
Yeah,
I get
and
Revenant
ever
stuff.
since that buff, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if he needed the buff, but I'm not going to turn down the buff. So, yeah. So now he's kind of the king of Divari Paradox in Steel Path, anyway.
I always, when I do Steel Path Circuit, if I get Saren, I always go Saren and Steel Path Circuit.
Okay. In Steel Path Second, I always go with, so if I, out of the pool of five I get to choose from,
Yeah.
I will pick Revenant if he's there, sometime Valkyr. I've actually never tried Siren in the circuit Steel Path, but if Stalker's an option, I'll always pick the Stalker.
Yep.
And I'll always hit record as well. So even if I don't need B-roll footage, I'm like, well, I guess I'm getting B-roll footage now for a video or something.
I know I always like whenever I see a stalker in my lobbies, I always like freak out. It's like a celebrity sighting. You're like, oh my God, it's Stalker. It's
Yeah,
so cool.
yeah.
I'm one intrinsic level away from getting Stalker on my own. I'm like
Uh,
level 9 and everything. I'm just so close.
See, I'm maxed out and everything.
Nice.
But as you
Nice.
know, I maxed out the stalker mode. I believe it was like day 2 or something. I just put in chat, oh, I have the stalker now.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
managed to get the adapter for the Incarnate that week as well. It
Nice.
was so hard though, because there was that disconnection bug that happened a lot
Right,
and
yeah.
whatnot. So yeah, it was basically like nonstop nonstop, like no sleeping or whatever for me to do that. But it was then I realized, okay, I'm glad DE limited it to us only be able to get 2 incarnate adapted per week.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't get any sleep. I wouldn't be eating. I'd just be playing Warframe to get all of them.
That's exactly why he did it. I think I've really loved the weekly rotations, mostly because there's so many like great videos and streams and posts of like the new ones that week when people get them. It's been like a constant stream of good vibes of just people getting what they want and sharing. And I like that people pick different ones and then share, oh, this is what this does. So yeah, it's been fun.
Yep. And hopefully that means that you guys have an incentive to make an incarnate Anthrax adapter, maybe? Maybe.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I know we
Yeah.
all internally have like our weapon that we'd love to see, like our favorite weapon from the early days that we'd love to see. So we've all put in our our votes, our horse race. So yeah.
Now I'm guessing you guys are going to start with more of the least used weapons and work your way up.
Yeah, that's an actually interesting point. I don't know exactly what motivates the design for them as well. I'm sure like how often it's used nowadays probably has some sort of factor into it, but yeah, like obviously it'll be more in the future, but I don't know what that means for each weapon. I guess we'll have to see. Have to see which one wins the draw.
Well, I can only guess that you guys are trying to do what you tried to do with ribbons, but it didn't quite work out that way with ribbons.
Right, just take less used weapons and just give them some new life.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
remember in one of the dev streams when ribbons first came out, the premise was, make less used, weaker weapons a bit stronger, more used.
Hmm.
But since ribbons came out for every weapon, people just used the stronger weapons and made them a bit stronger.
True. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Which made it cool because now I have ribbons for most of the incarnate because I was one of the ones that went into trade chat and I was like, I'll give you 10 platinum for quote unquote trash ribbons. And people gave like the weirdest ribbon that they, thought were trash. And I was like,
Oh
okay,
man.
I'll take them. I even got a
Dang.
heat dagger ribbon from that, yeah.
Well, that was smart. You got ahead of it. I bet you
Yeah.
nowadays they're probably a lot more.
Oh,
All the
yeah,
ribbons.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's definitely a lot more now, I assume. I don't go into trade chat a lot these days because
Yeah.
there was this time I went into trade chat, right? This was back when, um, I forget what the mod was called, but it was 300 platinum. That was PS4 price at the time. So I went into trade chat. I was like, oh, I'll give this 300 plat mod for 6 platinum because I needed 6 more so I'd have an even number of plat. So yeah, so I did that. Someone actually, well, 2 people messaged me. The first one that messaged me said, "No, you're joking." The other person that messaged me actually invited me to do the trade
Yeah.
and was surprised when it was actually real. And there was a third person that did message me afterwards, but they messaged me to yell at me, told me I was ruining the economy of
Whoa.
trade chat. I
Oh
was
my
like,
goodness.
okay, dude,
That's a little
okay.
dramatic.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I can't imagine how once you guys figure out trading on crossplay, I can't imagine how those hardcore trade chatters are going to react.
Who knows? Who knows? There's so many unknowns. Obviously, we're having the conversations and we're gonna make the best possible solution we can, but there
Yeah,
are things to consider. It's kind of a unique
yeah.
situation because I don't really think
Yeah, it's interesting because most
yeah,
other cross-play games that I play don't actually have a trade chat to consider
right.
with
Yeah, we're kind
them.
of
Yeah.
alone in that regard. Not a lot of 10-year-old games make the jump to cross save or cross play.
Yeah, and I know not all like Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft, they don't really care much for each other, for lack of a
Yeah.
better way of putting it.
Yeah.
They play ball if they have to, but yeah. Actually, it's the reason why you guys had to make that cross-platform symbol because if I recall initially when you were just testing PC and Xbox,
hmm
you guys had the console names on each of the things
Yeah,
for
we
the
did. Yeah,
account.
when we first
Yeah,
launched.
yeah, but because of restrictions, you guys had to make that symbol
Yeah, I think
instead. Huh.
it's like in all games. I think I was just watching Street Fighter 6 gameplay as well, and that's cross-platform, but they have a very similar logo to ours actually. Um for and like a cross-platform player. It's interesting. I don't fully understand it, but I know that we had to do it.
Yeah.
So it's nice, I guess, that you can see the same platform you're on. Like if you can see if anyone else is on PlayStation, if you're on PlayStation or PC, but
Yeah, it's nice for the most part. Every now and then you'll get that annoying PC person who is like, I don't want to play with other platforms. But it's
yeah.
like, why even turn the option on then? You know, you can
Yeah,
turn it
exactly.
off, right?
Yeah, I mean, like ideally everyone can like load in at the same time and all that, but it's not like that, and it doesn't even bother me. It's fine. I get
Yeah,
excited when I'm playing cross-platform, especially when it launched. It felt so surreal. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool,
yeah,
and it
I
just
always.
works because we can ask people like when we're on like a primetime stream, we can have anyone join us
Oh,
now.
yeah, yeah. It
Yeah,
used to be all the console players were excluded from all
yeah.
prime time stuff. Yeah. But yeah, actually, speaking of loading in, I don't know if you know this, but even between PlayStation, the PS5 players will load in a lot quicker than the PS4 player.
Yeah, a lot quicker.
Yeah,
I think that's the SSD in the PS5 at work
yeah.
loads in super, super, super quick.
Yeah. Which is okay, so it doesn't really matter as much in the divide paradox because the divide paradox actually doesn't start around till everyone's loaded in for the
Right, right.
circuit.
Yeah.
But in regular Warframe, that's not quite how it works because I've had the defense target come under fire because I've loaded in first. Because in the typical Warframe base game Warframe, whenever the first person loads in, it begins.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I've had the defense target die before the other players load in. I'm always like, whoops, my bad.
You're suffering from success, fam. You're too fast.
So yeah, that's interesting there. Yeah, but there's not really much that can be done there. Like you said, it's an SSD thing. Where technically you can put an SSD in a PS4. Your average PS4 player isn't going to go out, buy a
Yeah.
SSD and everything to put in to
Yeah,
the
it's same for
PS4.
PC too. Like, so many people can have like not great PC systems or really good PC systems. There's just so many different, speeds that people run the game at. Um, So I don't think there is really a perfect solution for loading in, but there's kind of an unwritten rule that you kind of wait around until people join in, or at least I do that with like sorties or Archon hunts. I'll just like hang when I load in, and just I'll probably just emote until someone else
Oh,
joins. But
yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
did that with like when I go to why am I spacing on the name Hydron? Yeah,
yeah,
Hydron. Although I almost called it by a different name because Hydron wasn't the optimal spot to XP from back in the day. It was
right.
Draco back in the day.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, but Draco got double nerfed. Not only did Draco turn into a survival, but they also nerfed the XP gain by making the map bigger.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Draco's seen some changes.
yep,
Well, that's just
Draco.
because we want people to explore the rest of the game, not just
Yeah,
stuck.
that
Yeah,
is true. That is
yeah,
true. Wolfenheim, I feel like, had expanded beyond that point that, it mattered so much, but, no one knows how a game is going to expand at the time.
right. Yeah, very
So,
true.
yeah. At the time, it mattered a lot because when you had to reformat stuff and you didn't keep your capacity and abilities like you do
Right,
now.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That was a nice change. I haven't been able to take advantage of it really. I'm not MR30 yet. I wish I was. Uh, but for those who worked hard and got there, it's so nice. I can't wait till I get there.
Yeah. Now, in my 30, it's going to be harder for you than it was for me, though, because I got in my 30 before the Xmas changes.
Right, yeah, it's different
Yeah.
now. I'm
Yeah,
getting
it's
there. I think
different.
I'm 19 right now, but I don't really focus too much on getting MR. Like I like new weapons and going out, but when I first started here at DE, I really went for MR, but it can kind of burn you out, I think. If you get too focused on the grind,
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
burn out on the game, yeah.
True, true. I always tell people on my stream and when I'm playing the game that if you need to take a break from Warframe, take a break. They always somewhat find that odd because I'm a Warframe creator saying
Yeah.
that, but my logic is that if you take a break, you're more likely to come back than if you get burnt out on it.
Right. Well, yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
It's with any piece of media. Sometimes like even though if you love it so much, you still should take breaks from it. And I think
Yeah.
that's the healthiest way to go through it. Like I have taken breaks with Warframe even as like a worker here, like even as an employee of DE. I like loved it and I played it like so much, but then I was like I just am gonna do the work I need to do, but I'm not gonna go like playing it like crazy. And then when you come back to it, you love it again, and you can have a healthy relationship to it. So I definitely agree with you.
Nancy, my initial reaction to you saying you take breaks from Warframe was going to be to do what? Play Soulframe?
Yeah, we just bounce in between the two. No, no, not quite. Not yet, at least.
Well, not yet, as far as we know.
Listen, I can be honest with you here. I know little about Soulframe, but I choose to do that because then I don't have to like hold any secrets. Like if you ask me about
Uh,
Soulframe, I can genuinely tell you I don't know because
okay.
I don't do like deep dives in it. Sometimes like some people do and sometimes I do with like updates. But then you have to hold the secret. Then you have to
Okay.
bear that weight. Yeah.
Well,
But Soulframe is going well.
I get that's good for you, especially since I recall when I heard about Soulframe, I asked you like a billion questions about
Yes, you did.
Soulframe. Yeah.
Yes, you did. You made me laugh because I had to like think about how to respond to you like so much. I had to really think about it because if I like admitted anything or if I agreed, it would like could be misconstrued. But yeah, it was nice. You were just passionate about it. But yeah, I had to tread very carefully when you were asking me questions about it.
I imagine that's how most of the interactions with me go. I can't confirm that, but I imagine that that is how a lot of interactions with me go.
You just like crafting theory, that's all. You just like guessing.
Crafting theory.
Yeah.
Speaking of theory, I don't know exactly per se theory, but I do want have on here that I do want to mention about the next 10 years of Wolfram because as you know, the 10-year anniversary happened not too long ago
Yes. Yeah.
of Wolfram. So, where do you think Wolfram is going to be in the next 10 years?
Man, that's a crazy question. It's so hard to think. And I even think in the AMA, I think Pablo was talking about that they didn't even know that it would last 10 years in the first place. They thought, we'll try for 5 and see what happens. And, I think that's kind of the attitude again. Obviously, we're so passionate about making the game that we'll make it forever. If the players keep playing and the universe allows it, we'll make it as long as we can. So knowing that we have really like strong ideas and passions for another half decade, who knows? I would
Ah,
love to be here in 10 years playing Warframe, but it's so hard to predict the future because games seemingly come out of nowhere and become huge. And hopefully that continues for
oh
us. I'm
yeah,
confident. I'm
games.
I'm confident that it will, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, games are coming out a lot, and as we
Hmm.
mentioned before, thanks to the new engines and stuff, they're
Yeah.
becoming, a bit easier. Well, I'm not going to say easy, because game dev is still hard, but
Oh
easier
yeah.
than it was, say, 10 years ago to develop a game.
Yeah, it's more accessible, I
Yeah.
think is the best way to put it. If you want to learn, if you want to put the time towards learning, it's there. It's not gate kept anymore, which is great. It's awesome.
And then mobile games actually have become real competition for,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was looking at the App Store just yesterday, actually, looking through the games that are on there, and I'm like, wow, I just can't even believe it's so sophisticated. Just because I remember mobile games not being that great when I was younger and playing on them, but there are like full games
Yeah.
on
Uh,
mobile now, it's
and
crazy.
and then a lot of those mobile games even get ported to PC.
Yeah,
So,
that's
yeah.
quite the world we live in now, eh? Mobile to PC is pretty funny.
Yep.
Uh, but yeah, and even Warframe Mobile being on phone is mind blowing to me. It
Oh,
feels so
yeah.
odd.
See, it's very odd we talk about mobile to PC ports since Warframe actually took a while to get to the PC port because first it started on PC and then the was ported then to PlayStation and
Yeah.
Xbox. Later
Hmm.
on, ported to Switch, but there
Yeah.
were a few things that had to be customized for the Switch specifically.
Yeah.
And, there's a few things that don't work 100% as they should on the Switch, but, it's improving with further updates and stuff. And I'm not
Right.
really sure how often you guys talk to Panasonic, Panic Button rather, which
Right.
for those of you guys that don't know, Wolfram was ported on the Switch thanks to a collaboration between Digital Extremes and Panic Button.
Hmm.
So that's how the Switch copy came out. The Warframe Mobile is currently in closed beta. From time to time, I believe uh, it's opening more to people who sign up for the closed beta, but I don't think that's an all the time thing, correct?
Um, there's periodic updates for it. Like obviously we're just sort of testing kind of update to update, I guess if that makes sense. Like we'll add, I think the most recent one was like adding the new war and stuff, and that's pretty crazy. But if when it works, if it goes well, then we move on to the next one, and then eventually once everything's on mobile, we'll be able to see about, releasing it, and maybe we'll do early access or something like that. Um, I think obviously next steps is increasing like to Android as well because it's just Apple. But mobile is like growing at the speed of sound. I'm very excited about it.
And before your Android fans out there start complaining about it being only on Apple right now, it's because Apple has their whole test flight thing, which for those
Yeah,
of you guys that don't know, let developers test their apps before they release them, kind of like testing beta. So that's something that Android doesn't currently have that I'm aware of anyway.
right. Yeah. I don't know for sure like the exact reasons. I think also just like there's more standardized tech with
Oh
iPhones. Like
yeah, I get there was
Android has so much, so many
yeah,
devices.
I
Yeah.
get the fragmentation is also a valid reason
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to be an Android user back in the day. I was an Android user back when I think I still have an old Android phone that had Froyo on it. For those of you guys that don't know, Froyo is Android 2.2. This was
Yeah.
still at Google's early phase where they wanted to name every update after a dessert.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, there was froyo and then, ice cream sandwich. Honeycomb was an interesting update because it was a tablet only update because there was a
Right.
period where they wanted to make a tablet only market as well. So yeah, they wanted to compete with Apple. It's basically always been an Apple versus Google thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's just one of those things. Companies compete with each other. It's a thing. Let's see. Everything here. I think I touched on. Oh, actually, there is something that I do have to say about the divide paradox in the mobile. I feel like that's going to be a big challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the next goal. Like I know it's the next goal, but it would be crazy. I mean, like the Switch, the Switch is great, but there are phones better than the Switch at this point. So if it's on the Switch, it can work on a phone, luckily. But it's just so much. And then you got to think about like controls and movement. So yeah, lots to
Yeah.
think about.
Yeah. Speaking of movements, though, you guys did make probably what I would call one of the best mobile updates, which was the Jester thing that
Yeah,
you guys added. I
yeah.
mean, it's so convenient. It's almost like think it should have been there to begin with, but I didn't know it should have been there. That's how convenient it is. I didn't know I needed it till it happened. It makes bullet jumping so much easier.
That's great to hear. Yeah, I'm curious what other gestures will come out of mobile just to make it a better experience, Because like I know some people connect a controller to their mobile games that they play, but ideally we can get it to a point where you want to feel comfortable playing it anywhere. If you're on the bus or if you're just walking or somewhere, you can just pull it out and play.
Now, see, you just made me think of another question, which I don't know if you even have the exact answer to. What about internet connectivity? Mobile internet hasn't always been known to always be the best. So,
Right, yeah. It's a great question, and I don't really know the answer, but um, I guess it would sort of just be in a similar situation of how we have hosting on our PCs and consoles. Like if someone doesn't really have the most stable internet connection, they're not going to be the most viable host, but we do some magic behind the scenes to sort of pick the best host. And we might
uh,
apply that to mobile, but that's just me personally speaking. I don't know. I would hope that like whatever the solution is, it works best. Or if people just prefer to play solo, they can do that. But yeah, it would be a shame to like be in an Archon hunt on mobile, let's say, and then you like go in a tunnel, and
Uh,
then you lose connection.
what?
But that's just the
That's
mobile.
that's interesting that you would
Yeah.
mention solo. I know it's crazy. You're probably like, Mandy, you're hitting me with the hard hitting questions now. But it's interesting you would say solo because you actually cannot play Warframe without an internet connection at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just for like saving and database stuff.
Well,
It's
yeah,
it's an
yeah.
online game, yeah.
Otherwise, people would, yeah, yeah. People would be people, basically. So, yeah, I understand that. But with it coming to mobile, that's also, I feel, something to think about.
hmm
You know,
Yeah, lots of
what will
questions.
happen there? Yeah,
That's why it's
lots
nice to
of,
have the beta.
yeah, yeah. Yep, I can imagine. Oh, actually, Switch would probably benefit the most from Warframe Mobile, I would imagine, since the Switch does have a, handheld mode. You guys could theoretically import some stuff from Warframe Mobile to Switch once it gets our heads out.
It's true. As it's very possible. I don't know if we have or I like I said earlier, we like love to share tech wherever we find it. I think the biggest thing we've shared from mobile to Switch and Switch to mobile is like file size and just how big the game is. Because getting it down to something that fits comfortably on a mobile phone is tough.
Yeah,
Because like, oh my gosh.
I don't even know how you guys managed it with the Switch, honestly. Every
Yeah.
update, it's still makes it under 20 gigabytes still. It's,
Yeah, it's great because I play some other games that aren't necessarily compressed like that and take up a lot of space. So
yeah.
always happy to see that Warframe gets smaller sometimes with updates, which is very cool.
Well, Switch, actually, the other console benefited from one of the Switch updates, compression.
hmm
When you guys did that for the first time, you guys also applied it to PlayStation and Xbox as well. So they got to benefit a bit in that, which I
Yeah.
think was interesting.
I mean, even when we don't need it, I think we still try and compress just to like make the experience better. So it's cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's good. And I imagine you guys are going to do it with Soulframe. You know what would be a little awkward if Soulframe gets open beta on mobile before Wolfram does. A little bit awkward there, but
I think we're that's a little too soon for that to happen.
yeah, maybe. I mean, Soulframe has only been announced, and technically, we got a little bit of very early, like alpha early gameplay at one
Yeah,
of
oh
the
yeah,
dev
super early.
streams.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, very alpha. It almost looked like a Souls type experience if you didn't know it was Soulframe.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
It's very
yeah,
similar. It's cool to have the gameplay shown like that, obviously. Like we're just excited and any little bit of something that we can show
yeah,
makes it all the better. So we'll just have to see what else we can show in the
yeah.
future.
Every time I referenced the gameplay or showed it, I always made sure to either put on screen alpha footage or tell my viewers that it's alpha footage.
Yeah.
This isn't like gameplay from a completed game
Yeah.
or anything like that. I imagine we're gonna get more flushed out footage at TennoCon. Uh,
Who knows? We'll just have to
actually,
see.
actually, that one has already been confirmed. I knew you were going to say who knows, but that one has already been confirmed that we would get footage. How
Yeah.
much? I don't know, but
We'll just have to see.
but it's funny. I had a feeling that was going to be a response. Yeah.
That's my go-to. Or that or soon TM.
Yeah, you do say Cynthia a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Megan, actually, a lot of people wouldn't realize this unless they went back and rewatched it. But Megan technically spoiled a little bit of one of the events in the new war, like a
Oh.
month early. Technically, most
Really?
people didn't catch on, but some did catch on because she when she said operator, she then said both of them.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
she moved on afterwards, but yeah, that's what she said. Some of chat was saying both of them, question mark, but of course, obviously no questions were answered about that. But yeah, it was just a little slipper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which as
That's
soon
funny.
as I went back, as soon as the new world came out and I played it, I then remembered that and I was like, oh, that's what she meant. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, I don't even blame her. It was so hard to keep New War like a total secret, especially because when you work on it for so long, you kind of blend in what people should already know. Like you lose track of what people don't know. So I'm pretty sure if you go back in my messages in Discord, somewhere sometime I probably said something
Yeah.
spoilery that wasn't meant to, but without context, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah.
Actually, that's what a lot of people I feel like don't realize about spoilers. Certain things may be spoiler to you or me because we already know what context it's in.
Right. Yeah.
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 So yeah, that's why I never really considered the operator existing a spoiler exactly because it's one of the things. Now, if I went and told the whole story of the second dream,
Yeah.
that would be a spoiler.
Definitely.
But
The op
do what? Go on.
the operator spoiler, I think, in recent years has kind of taken off the spoilery of it because of just so much that's happened with the new war, and it's sort of like moved on to like, new war spoilers as the big one. But I just remember, and my favorite thing about it was be like a new player would post on Reddit or the forums or something being like, "Hey, what's this?" And they'd be referencing like the operator, but everyone would like keep it a secret and be like, "Oh, don't worry about it," or "Oh, it looks like your game bugged or something. Relaunch to fix it." I love that. I love when people kept a secret for the community.
Now that actually that does remind me of something that happened to me in Wolfram not
Oh,
too long ago. It was like maybe a week after the Divide Paradox came out.
oh yeah.
I was in the Divide Paradox, right? I was I had just finished doing a mission there and I was doing a regular mission in the base Wolfram game. I went into operator mode. Well, my operator is the drifter because I like the drifter better. And the person actually asked me, how did you get the drifter outside of the Divide Paradox? Which
Mm,
I found was funny because I never occurred to me because the fact that you can play the Divide Paradox as a brand new player, it
right.
never occurred to me that someone would ask that question.
Man, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That actually, it puts a smile on my face because I think that's really cool. That Duviri is kind of, I think, I've seen some people will be like, "Wow, I can't believe they like spoil the Drifter so early," but again, without context, you don't
Yeah.
know. And so like they knew it existed in Duviri, but then they like later on they'll get the second dream and they'll be like, "Whoa, oh my gosh," and it all makes sense now. So I like it. That's pretty cool.
I always I always describe it as kind of a one of those wait for it style jokes.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
it's like wait for it, wait for it. Yeah. So that's basically the divide paradox from a new player's point of view.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It will
Yeah.
make sense over time, which I think that I can't confirm because I already know all the knowledge I know, but I think that would be pretty cool, to like learn this stuff more over time because it's not exactly like you're playing the end game with the divide paradox. It's only the end game to us because we
Right.
know everything else. We've been through everything else.
Yeah, for us it's like the culmination of a lot of stories, and for new players it's kind of like a sneak peek at what it will be like, but they got to unravel the story. So it's cool either way. I really like how we did it. And it also
Yeah.
speaks to like what you're interested in. If you're a new player and you see that, you can be a space ninja or, a time drifter, then you can pick your path and enjoy it either way. So it's
Yep.
accessible. It's cool.
And if you don't want to be divide paradox, you can just play the base game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Now, the only exception to that is the next coming update, which I feel bamboozled right when I heard that it's not going to be called Echoes of the Very. I was like, what is this? I've been bamboozled. Give me my echoes back.
We couldn't call it an Echoes update. It was too big.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I'll be interested to see how the new Wolfram plays out. People seem to like him quite a bit so far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I as I've tested them already, I've enjoyed it. It's very unique and very thematic. I think it fits the eventual story we'll get in the update. So
I
that'll be a
wonder
cool one. And yeah, yep.
I wonder if he's going to be anything like a combination of Trinity and Chroma. Okay, I'd say that for a specific reason. Because Trinity had her abating a link,
Yeah,
and Chroma used to have this whole thing that whenever you damage yourself, your damage would become a lot more. It was
right.
relevant back when self damage was a thing in Warframe still.
Hmm.
So people used to run Eidolons with Chroma, damage themselves, then one hit each Eidolon limb.
Jeez.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what used to be the case there. Then there was a thing with Trinity. Her link would she could self damage herself, and it would kill like it would be doing millions of damage to
Right.
all the enemies and stuff. So I'm wondering if he's like that on a lesser scale. This is just me live theory crafting. I know you can't actually answer since he's legitimately not out yet.
Right. Yeah. Yep. No, I can't provide too much, but
Uh,
I can say I'm excited, and I like seeing the thoughts of people when they play them in the different play styles that come out of it. But it's we've seen him, which is cool. We've seen what he's looked like, and I think he looks awesome. And his powers fit his looks very well. So there's your little secret.
okay.
There's your little tidbit
Okay.
of information.
Okay. But oh man, that I mean he's gonna be I guess it would look okay. I imagine he's gonna be a self damage fan.
Who knows, Vamp? I
I
can't
mean,
tell
I
you.
cannot unless his daggers are just for show, unless they're holograms.
Cosmetic daggers. That's funny.
He like the greatest magician.
Yep.
We
It's all
all got
show.
it wrong. He's not a real knife wielding frame. No, he's a magician.
It's like those plastic knives that like go into themselves. They're like fake knives that magicians
He,
use. Yeah, there you go. Funny.
but oh yeah, I also made a video the other day. How I did find it interesting that you guys are kind of going back to the root of how frames were acquired. Because initially frames were acquired from bosses. You know, you
Yeah.
got the parts, and with the divide paradox, you guys are making the new Warframe acquirable from a boss. But it's interesting because he's a lot more meta than everyone else. In the
Yeah.
sense that you're acquiring him from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's quite a bit more meta. Actually, you know what? He reminds me of something that you guys mentioned that you wanted to do a while back in ESO. I'm going into basically Wolfram history at this point. But when Sanctuary Onslaught was first announced,
Yeah.
it looked quite a bit different than it does now.
It's true. Yeah.
Originally, it was going to be like every 2 minutes, like a mini boss, and that was going to be a Warframe that rotated type thing.
Yeah.
And presumably would drop some Warframe parts. But it ended up being completely different, and instead you guys set the Warframes to the what are they called? To unlock each planet?
The junction?
Yeah, junction.
Yeah. Yeah.
I keep forgetting about junction because they didn't exist when I first started.
Oh, really, eh? You got
Yeah.
through without any junctions. You skipped the line.
Yeah, because see what happened, for those of you guys that don't know, in the original Warframe, what happened is you beat a boss on a planet, he gave you a nav segment that you plugged
Yeah.
into your orbiter, and then that
Man,
led you to the next planet.
that's such a throwback.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So different now.
I
Yeah.
still have those nav segments all in my inventory. You can technically sell them for like 5 credits each,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
just
but
have them all.
they're much better in your inventory. It's like a
Yeah,
trophy. It's pretty cool.
yeah, it is interesting. I have a lot of stuff in my inventory. Like Oberon. Oberon still drops a lot, but not anywhere near as much as he used to. It's like every 5 seconds he'll had an Oberon part.
Yeah.
And yeah, Feature Me is really, I hate editing this because of the fact that actually we talked for a lot longer than I thought.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I'll have to wrap it up here in a few minutes if that's all right with you, but
Oh,
it's been a
yeah,
blast.
that's no problem. That is no problem at all.
I got a question for you though.
Yeah,
Are you coming to TanaCon?
unfortunately, I will not be there in
Oh
person.
no, but you'll be watching.
Yeah, I'll be watching. I'll
Yeah, it'll be fun.
definitely be watching and seeing all the releases, and I assume that no, it has to be before. No, August round timing is about right for Wisp Prime.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The next brand, yeah.
The next Prime should be in July or August, presumably. So, yeah, and TennoCon's in August, so I assume.
Sure. Well, Vamp, thanks for having me on. This was a total blast.
Oh, yeah, no problem. No problem. Oh, yeah, wait, one final question.
Of course, of course.
You said you beat Tears of the Kingdom, or not you?
Yes, I did beat it. Yeah.
Okay, I thought you beat it. I told my friend you beat it. And then their response was, I'm still playing, and I quote, I'm still playing it. So he must have not done every quest.
No, gosh, no. I went to like do the main quest and did like the main story, but am still playing it. Like I'm still doing all the side quests and all the activities because it's a lot of fun. But the story was so good in my mind that I had to finish it. So, and that way I didn't,
Okay.
and then that way I couldn't get spoiled or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you can play the DLCs in peace when they come out.
Ooh, I'm so excited. Yes.
Okay, well, I'll let you go. I kept you long enough.
Well, it was a total pleasure. We'll do it again and enjoy the rest of your day, dude.
Okay, thank you again for appearing on the podcast.
Anytime. Take it easy.
You too.
Bye bye.